Hello friends, we are back with a third video in a series of videos about a trip I took to Toco, Souci, Matelot. It's in the northeast of Trinidad, an island in the Caribbean. In this video in particular, we will be going from Matelot to Galera Point. And we are starting right now in Matelot, heading east on Paria Main Road. Now I had previously recorded coming from the west to the east to get to Matelot in other videos. Like I say in all my videos, when you're going back the other way, you see new things. What you will also see are all the videos I made in between, and when I say you will see, I mean you will see the posters for those videos, because along this long road trip I took other mini videos about certain areas that were either eye candy or had some pertinent issues that needed to be addressed, even ones that are a danger to people's lives, as you will see. So if you are new to JB's Man Cave, or you tend not to see all my videos, or you don't get a notification or whatnot, this video will be good to let you keep up to breast with what is being recorded by me and how it all fits in with this particular video. Now you may want to see the start of this road trip, I don't know. If so, you can look for the links in the description of this video. I have links to them. The road trip originally began at Valencia, and I went to Matura and then up to Toco and along the north coast on the Paria Main Road all the way till I reached Matelot, and I'm now heading back the other way. Now if you're also new to JB's Man Cave, I like to keep things raw, so you won't see cuts and edits of my videos. I show it to you just as I experience it. That way you can feel like you're right here with me in the truck driving along. Now this bridge was a bridge of scariness, and I created a video for it. And when you see that video, you can look at it after you see this one. I have a link in the description. You could see how dangerous that bridge was. It looked simple crossing it right there, didn't it? But it's way more scary than that, and you will see if you look at that video. Now you'll notice on this road trip I keep stopping, and that's because there's just a lot of eye candy to see. That's one of the unique things about driving on the northeast road, Paria Main Road. The coast here has a lot of places that are near to the Paria Main Road, so you could practically stop your vehicle just like I did and take a look at the ocean, the rocks, take pictures, whatever have you. And the great thing about it is there aren't a lot of people doing it at the same time, so essentially, you know, you have the free ability to just take photographs without worrying about people being in your photograph. Now we just passed a bad piece of road there, so in addition to scary bridges, you also have scary roads, sometimes depressions, or the road is cracking up or whatever have you. That's part of coastal erosion and land shifting. While those things happen a lot in other parts of Trinidad, it especially happens when you have a road right next to the coast, and if you don't have a good retaining wall like the retaining wall you see right now on your left, then the road is going to shift eventually, because you know, I have a lot of trucks, vehicles passing on it constantly, and that also adds to shifting the road and the land. So we're continuing east, and while we're doing that, we could talk about certain things. Some of the things I like to share experiences, as well as what's going on in Trinidad. Of recent, there have been a lot of road blockage, burning of tires, people protesting and whatnot. And it has been going on for consecutive days. Now, it used to be that you may hear about this kind of thing once in a while where people were tired of the roads or whatever, and they would come out and maybe burn tires or take an old vehicle and block the road. But now it's happening regularly, practically every day, and people are not letting up. And while I don't condone or saying I am condone people blocking roads and burning tires and whatnot, the people do have grievances that are serious and have been neglected for years. And it's similar to how I showed in that Scary Bridge video. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure and look for it. You know, you have a bridge, but practically something that could could kill you. And yes, so that bridge will remain like that for years and years and years, and nobody takes care of it. And suddenly, if somebody died or the place became totally impassable, then suddenly there's this big work crew and people coming out and they want to fix the bridge and do all kinds of stuff. But it shouldn't be. It has to be that we take a more proactive effort in addressing basic needs of people. I mean, we're not talking about some kind of luxury item or cosmetic upgrade. We're talking about a basic bridge or a basic road to drive on. Some of the roads are so bad, like this piece of road here, that you could hardly cross it. It's shifting, it's breaking up. Um, there are huge potholes, and so people come out and protest. The only thing I mean I feel people need to protest in order to raise their voices, but I don't know about blocking civilians that might be trying to get in an emergency. Something might be happening. This is another one of the bridges I told you is scary. You notice this one doesn't even have railings, and it's an old wooden bridge. Those planks are practically coming off. Make sure to see the Scary Bridge video so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Besides those things, the road here isn't too bad. I mean, I did mention the shifting and whatnot, but yeah, it's not so drastic that you feel like, wow, at any moment I might lose my life driving on these roads. However, some areas are not for the novice driver. Do you see that big hole on the left there? Wow. And you saw me stop there because, again, the trip here is really eye candy. And for instance, where I pulled across there, you wouldn't have seen that driving the other way. It's only when you're going back you start to see some of the places that you missed. Sometimes drivers will look for a loop in order to not return the same way they came, maybe take a different path. And while, yeah, that gives you a new way to get to somewhere, at the same time you lose a lot of things that you could have seen by going back the other way. Trust me on that if you're ever going on a road trip. I know sometimes, you're on a road trip, you really want to try and see as much as you can, but going back the other way does give you another viewpoint of the same place, and you'll almost begin to think, wow, how didn't I catch that before? One thing I like about driving on this road too, hardly any cars. I mean, you do see vehicles or people now and again, but rarely. For most of the trip, I'm basically driving on my own, at least until you reach Toco proper or Galera Point. There's lots of traffic there, lots of people. In fact, near the end of this video, you'll see a beach right off of Galera Road. Wow, there were loads of people there. So this bridge is crossing what is called Shark River. And yes, I created a video specifically about Shark River because I stopped here to investigate it. Somebody told me Shark River, the best river in Trinidad. I don't know, you could tell me what you think. If you could see the video, I wasn't able to record a lot of it because there were just so many people there. You could tell by the amount of vehicles. But what's unique about the river is that in some places it might be 1 foot deep or maybe a few inches deep. And just before it hits the ocean, because it goes into the ocean, it could drop as much as 6 feet deep. So yeah, you have to be careful. And if you ever wondered to know why it's called Shark River, make sure to look at the video. I explain why it's called that. So once you look at the map, if you a person that likes to read maps, as you watch these videos, if you're trying to trace a route to come on a road trip, you'll be able to get a gauge of the kind of roads you'll be on, what you'll meet, when you'll meet, because this is more or less real time, except for the stops. But I don't take much of the stops. So essentially, to go from Matelot all the way to Galera Point took about I would say an hour and a half. But it may not be likely that somebody goes from Matelot to Galera Point. They would probably go Matelot, headed into Sandigani. By the way, after I reached the Galera Point, I turn around and I start to head into Sandigani, and that is actually going to be a fourth video in this series. I was thinking of seriously adding it to this one, but I thought it would be too long because this video is around an hour and almost 20 minutes. It's like a full feature film. Of course, all the green is something I love, and you get a lot of that up here. For me, it'd be good to either jog or bike. I didn't come across any road bikers, but I don't know, guys. You guys may want to consider riding up here, simply because there isn't a lot of traffic, and the roads can be challenging. You have both up ascents and descents and curves, so it might be worthwhile. And the roads aren't that bad, so it shouldn't be, a danger to your tires. At least not much. But if you're doing road biking, it would be better than you have good traction on your tires rather than a speed bike. I don't know if I ever mentioned it to you all, those of you who watch JV's Man Cave a lot. I used to cycle a lot when I was a teenager. I mean, miles and miles and miles. Not just casual cycling, but I mean serious cycling where, I'd go from maybe the west of Trinidad heading into the east and back, going up hills. I used to cycle in the States too. So I used to do a lot of cycling, and I got my legs really big and developed from doing that. It's amazing how much muscles, your quadriceps, that's the muscles in your legs, and your hamstrings, the back of your legs, can develop from doing cycling. They can get really massive. I remember going in the gym, those days when I used to go in the gym, and I would leg press £600-700. No joke. And I don't think I would have been able to have done that if I didn't have a cycling background. I think really in your young years, your teen years, if you tend to be somebody that likes any kind of muscle building exercises like cycling, for instance, for your legs, weightlifting or whatever, when you get old, that really remains with you. I mean, of course, you're not going to have the kind of stamina or musculature or the kind of build or structure that you had when you was young, but it's kind of like a memory muscle. Your muscles tend to, when you do pick up any kind of exercise or do anything, you just do it that much better than if you never had any athletic or sports background in your life and you now want to start, your body will not be able to handle it. And disclaimer, I'm not a medical professional, not a sports trainer, not a nutritionist or anything. That's just my personal thoughts. I'm just sharing with you some of my experience. And part of the adventure of this Paria main road, as you will notice, is the many turns it has. That could be a good thing or bad thing for some people. Some people who might be a little bit car sick or easily sensitive to this kind of thing, vertigo or whatever, this might not be that great. I know there are some people that may even watch this on video and it might make them giddy. So if you're sensitive in that way, maybe this road trip is not for you. However, I find that most roads in Trinidad are like this, huh? I don't know what went on with planning, but all our roads tend to be really winding. About the only relatively straight road we have is the highway that goes from north to south. Everything else tends to be really curvy. Now, anytime you feel like, wow, I love the road trip, I love the green, but I don't know if I could keep watching. In the description, I have links to jump apart, so you can jump from one area to the next if you want to speed it up. However, you may miss some things, and you may miss something that I have to say. If you want to hear me, check this road out. See how bad it is. This is probably the worst part of the road on Paria main road, really bad. But anyway, I did stop here on my way to Matelot, right down the left, and did this video, Emerald Sea Toco. That actually looks over the Grande Riviere beach and bay area, and I'm actually right now passing the area where there is a shipwreck, and I don't know what happened on a road trip, but I think that somehow I recall seeing it or somebody in the vehicle mentioned it, because on some of these road trips I do travel with my family, and I said, you know what, came all this way, let's turn back and try and get a glimpse of it rather than end up leaving the area. Don't know when you'll come back here and regret not taking that little moment to go back and check. So at some point I will turn back I think it's there, right there. Right at that spot there on the left. In case you ever want to see it, that's where you would go down to see the shipwreck. So around here I started deciding, let me get a place to turn around. Just waiting for a truck to pass by. And this truck was passing by. It's really weird. The contents of the truck and the way he's carrying the passengers. That would have been good for a crazy driving video. Alright, so like I said, we turned around because I wanted to go and see that shipwreck. And like I mentioned, I made a video for that separate to this. In case you're wondering why I don't include these videos as part of this one, well, if I did that for every stop we made, this particular video would be hours and hours long. It would just take too long. And you may actually miss out some of these things. So I kind of separated into other videos so you get an idea of some place specific. Also, when I record these videos from my truck, I use 2.7K, and you can see, I think, yeah, you can see the shipwreck on the right there. But when I pull out my camera and I start to walk, I record in 5.3K. So there's a difference in resolution. So that's what I did when I stopped there, and now we're gonna go back again. So that's why I fast forwarded. So now we're continuing east again, and if you recognize this, that's because this is where I decided, oh, let me turn around and get that shipwreck. And I turned the right on the right there. So now we're continuing new stuff again. So this would be Grande Riviere, or Grande Riviere, however you like to pronounce it. Village. Also, when we were passing here, we noticed a hotel slash restaurant, and we didn't pick up on it on the way in, so we're gonna try taking a look at it on the way out, because sometimes you miss things that you didn't see before. But it must be really cool to be living in a village like this where you have the sea very close. That was it right there. We just passed it, and like anything else, sometimes you pass something, you think about it. Should I stop? Yeah, let me stop, because like I said, you don't know when you'll come back here again. For me, trips like this one could be a once in a lifetime thing, because these areas are very remote. Now I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I'll guess it's Acajou. You can feel free to correct me in the comments area. But what I liked about it was just the way it looked. It looked like they tried to preserve a lot of the green as much as possible while having their buildings and whatnot. It's not like a place where you would think, oh, like a developer would come and mash up everything and put up concrete. No, if you notice, they are really trying to keep green, the trees and stuff. Even the way structures look, you can see they try to keep it looking natural. So I wasn't able to go in, and I know probably you was hoping I did. But I haven't set up I didn't set up anything with these people. It's just me happening to pass by. I just wanted to take a quick glance. If you've been there, if you've eaten there, if you've stayed there, feel free to comment in the comments area about the hotel, and if you just went to the restaurant, tell us how the food was, the prices you paid, and so forth. I'd like to know. I wonder how many tourists actually come up here. I mean, I can see it as, if you have a tour or a tour guide, they might take a trip of people up here. But I don't know if it'll be a first choice for people when they land. I mean, I guess most tourists would like to go to Tobago. That's where mostly tourism is. So this is the Grande Riviere Beach. Sorry, river. Grande Riviere River that enters into the Grande Riviere Beach. And yes, I created a separate video for that too. Now on this trip, my main aim was to get to Matelot. So while I could have stopped in those areas and had a longer walkabout, which is what it really deserves, I wasn't able to because there was time constraints. I was coming all the way from Port of Spain, which is the capital of Trinidad, and that's very far from here. So if you plan a trip to these areas, just be prepared to leave early and take all day. By the time I got back to Port of Spain, it was evening time. So you can see that we are beginning an ascent as well as we climb into the mountains, and we are pretty much away from the coast right now. And after a while it'll just be all green for a good bit until we see any more houses again. This little strip here kind of reminds me of the road trip to Maracas, but not as dangerous. You do have to watch out for cars coming around the corner, but also, like I said, this Paria main road is not very busy, so that's also different with Maracas. It tends to be cars flying around the corner constantly, and you have to always be watching. That's not the case here. It's really nice. There's a valley on the right. It's hard to see it from here, but you could always stop and look. Very, very interesting. These trips too also show you just how underdeveloped Trinidad is. There's so much to explore and see. And while I may say it's underdeveloped, like if it's a bad thing, in a lot of regards it's a good thing, because to me when they do decide to develop, things green just goes away. So I think we stopped there. That guy was selling I believe it was pimentos in a bag. Pimentos is like a mixture of a sweet pepper and a hot pepper, but really it's not hot at all. It just gives a spicy flavor when you add it to food. It's really nice. And if you notice, after we passed that ascent, we kind of going back down now, descending. I don't know if you can pick it up there. There are some trees that bear fruit, both on the left and the right, that can be eaten. Like I say all the time in these videos, if you ever lost in the green, in the jungle of Trinidad, you would always find some sort of tree that can give you food so you could survive. And there are people that get lost, huh? Some of this jungle can be quite thick, and if you don't know your bearings or you have never been in the area before, you could be literally spinning in circles because the trees can be very tall and there's no way to tell in which direction you're going. So if your plan is to go to, let's say, a remote area like this and then hike, please, please, please do carry or follow somebody that is familiar with the area or a guide or something, because you don't want to be trapped out there, um, and it gets dark, there are wild animals, and most importantly, in a time like this where it's the rainy season, you don't want to be caught with rains, because you may think, for instance, where you are at that point in time when you're lost might be dry, but after a rainfall, it could be even a brief rainfall, the area just starts to flood and you might be swept away. And that may, cause snakes to come up, to, gators, whatever have you, mosquitoes. Sometimes the silent killer is the one that you can't see. Mosquitoes can be really bad, especially when it's evening time. So this is Montevideo, and that was the church. If you saw my other videos, I wanted to stop and see the one on the right. Still didn't have time because I wanted to get to Galera Point, and I had to go all the way back home before the sun went down. So time is going by, and I wanted to make sure I caught everything. But literally, you could, stop and take footage and whatnot about every little thing you stop by in this road trip. And if you're hearing dogs, that's because I have neighbors with dogs that are, in my opinion, untrained. They just patrol the roads. The ones that are let loose, they just patrol the roads and just bark at everything, bark at everyone. And then there are the ones that are behind the gates that are also untrained. So they also bark at everything and everyone. And what's worse is, having an untrained big dog um, doesn't help much, because their bark has a lot of bass behind it. So when they bark, it just penetrates my windows. Cause imagine my windows are closed when my door is closed. I try to soundproof my microphone as much as possible, and yet still, I'm sure you're hearing them in the distance. Sometimes it's annoying for me too, because when dogs are just barking aimlessly, the times when they are barking to alert you of something, you will ignore it because you just hear them barking all the time. Now, practically on a road trip like this, there are markers. They're called mile markers. They're little stone columns that could be seen on the left or right, and usually they're marked in kilometers, how far you are from something. Really and truly, you can use that, or basically, when you pass through a village, to get an idea of how far you are from something. But if you're the kind of person that doesn't use maps, really do try to use maps because maps are a good indicator for you of what the area is like besides the main road. Many times I've used a map and for instance didn't realize that an offshoot road, a road that's comes off of the existing main road, actually might be a better way of getting to somewhere. You can use Google Maps, but and I really, to be honest, miss the days when I would go around England and Wales with a map called the A to Z map. It was a book of a condensed map, and you could literally use that to get to anywhere in Britain. And I used to love to use it for that reason. It was so accurate. All the street names were on there. I wish there would be something like that for Trinidad. I know that in the old days you used to have these big maps and they would sell them often, but I haven't even seen one. Now everybody, I guess, uses Google Maps, so they don't care for paper-based maps. But to me, paper-based maps is where it's at because if you unless you have GPS in your vehicle, really having a paper map can give you a quick idea of where you are, where you're going, how long, again, etc. And that could be fun for children too. Sometimes I'll do that with my kids. I'll give them a piece of paper showing where we're going, and I'll tell them, okay, so we just passed this part on the map. Have a look and tell me when we reach this next place. So I'll point to the next place, and they'll be like excited to look for whatever markings, and they'll be telling me, Daddy, we just passed X place or whatever. And that's good for them too, so that they can learn how to read maps, because that's a very important life skill. Don't rely on everything being familiar. Sometimes you might be in a situation where you're in another country or another area, and you don't want to just go by somebody's, picking somebody at random and hoping that they give you right directions. You want to make sure you have the correct directions of where you're going. Now, one thing's for sure with this part of the road trip, once you pass Grande Riviere, then you're practically finished seeing the ocean for a bit. Whenever next you see the ocean again, you're coming closer to Toco proper, and you're not traveling for hours and hours and hours and hours on end. Because right now we are far from the coastline and traveling within the mountains. It's like a curvy road, like I said before. So something else that was recently talked about was the July 27th, 1990 coup attempt. The irony of that is, I was just talking about that with my family the other day, and I was saying that there would be people born after that date or during that date that wouldn't know anything about the coup attempt, and they would be as big as 32 years old. Just think about that time really flies. So they wouldn't know what the coup is about, and yet still be big. So it's only really the older heads that remember what it was like. Some of the gripes that a lot of people talked about on the news with regard to the attempted coup is that there isn't enough recognition for those who lost their life, and there isn't any kind of ceremony or anything except for the people who were affected by it, and they may come to lay wreaths at the place by the red house there where it has a little commemoration for the time of the coup. Were you around at the time of the attempted coup by Abu Bakr and his crew? Let me know in the comments here. Make sure you let me know what you're responding to, because sometimes people respond to things, but I really don't know what they're responding to. This is the area called Souci, and that beach on the left is where a lot of surfers come to do surfing. And the beach is under some repair and work, as you can see. And I just stopped there to take some footage, and that footage you could see in either that video that you saw the poster or another video which is a short where I briefly covered Souci Beach. All those links are in the description, right? So if you want to see where I actually stopped on a picture of the beach, you can look for it. Now check out this road, really weird. So that van is all the way to the right, and I'm not even sure it's on the left there, and I don't know if I want to even know. It looks like the road is falling into the ocean and they need to do something about it. Like most things, lots of parlors and shops. People love their food and to get a drink or whatever. So that caters for Souci Beach. From looking at it, I don't know if I would say that is swimming there. I was surprised to even see the surfers there surfing with their boards, because you know surfing of itself is dangerous. I mean, if a wave takes you and throws you somewhere, that beach has real rocks in it, and that's the element that, to me, I don't know how good that is for surfing. And I didn't see anybody bathing in it except for the surfers with their boards. But I don't even know if that is of any help. So this bay we're coming to is Big Bay. I also stopped here and took a bit of footage, which I made in a short, next to this shack with some weird looking things on the top. So if you want to see that, make sure to look for the link in the description of where I put Big Bay Beach. Now here, see that particular spot on the left? I love that spot. I love it so much that I took 3 different videos of it. You see that little cove on the left, we're now passing it? That's where I did the 360 video of that cove. And check that picturesque scene on the left. Just all that coast and all that footage of beaches and stuff that you could take. Again, I don't know how good that is for sea bathing. As you can see, there are a lot of rocks on the shore and out in the sea. You know, good for getting your feet wet, just sitting on line watching the ocean, but sea bathing, I don't know about that. I do see people attempting something, but my opinion is avoid actually bathing. Just look. One thing you don't want is to be caught in an accident or something in an area like this, because you would have to drive very far before you get medical attention. But I just wish Trinidad had coast like this to see all the time. Most of the roads are very far from the ocean or any beaches, and if it is close, sometimes it's really not a good view. But here the views are great, spectacular. I think what keeps it good. When I say good, I mean keeps it intact is the fact that it takes a lot of driving to get out here. It's not easily accessible. If it was, I can well imagine cars would be parked all on the side of the road here. People looking, people eating, people drinking, trash everywhere. But the fact that it's isolated keeps the place clean, sad to say, and good. So this is Lance Noir, and it's just another small village. Lance Noir has its own um, health center, I believe, community center, um, entry level schooling, some big houses too. Probably going to be the future guest house, whatever. Seriously, I mean, to fully explore all of this area, you really would need to rent a room or have a stay overnight and take in everything, because there's no way you could do like I did, drive all this, do hours of driving and then recording. You just can't get in everything. And as you can see, there's so many stops that you can make, and every stop, if you really want to capture a place, in my estimate, you need at least an hour. Sometimes my preparation when I reach a place is like half the time, because you have to get the cameras, you have to park your vehicle, you have to set up, prepare yourself, whatnot, make sure you have everything. Because once you start to record, you don't want to be like, oh, I forgot this, I forgot that, whatever. So much preparation involved. And you can see the color of the ocean on your left hand. This is something you don't see in other parts of the country. It's a really nice color. Sort of like an emerald color. If you're planning to come to Trinidad and you've never been to a Caribbean island before, well, this basically was what it looks like. I know some of you may just get pictures of huts and women in grass skirts dancing, and white sandy beaches and whatnot, but in reality, this is more or less how the country looks like. And not every Caribbean island is like that. A lot of the times it's just resorts do those kinds of things, keep charge of beaches and whatnot. I'm not saying all is like that, but this is what it's like being on a Caribbean island. Not everywhere is a beach, especially in a place like Trinidad, where a lot of our beaches, the ones that are good for sea bathing, are under so much lock and key, or very hard to get to. It takes a lot of driving. And the irony of it is, we're on a Caribbean island. We should be able to access all these things right away, but it's not the case. So you can see we're getting a lot of traffic now to get into Toco proper. And the roads never seem to end. I know that feeling. And I'm driving a manual, so I'm driving all day. It can wear you down. I don't know how people who are in transportation does it. I mean, like for instance, a guy who has to deliver fuel to gas stations every day. Wow, that must be really intense. You know, driving a big truck, covering miles and miles and miles every day. And sometimes they have to come to remote areas like this too with a big truck. Hats off to them. So we're continuing. It takes quite a while to reach where we're going, as you can see. Let me know how many of you actually, after seeing one of my road trips, decided, hey, let's take the weekend and go to where JB's man cave went, where JB went. Have any of you actually done that? I'm not talking about you guys abroad. I know you may be coming back home and you have limited time, but those of you who are local, have you ever decided to take up one of the places that I've been to? If you have, let me know in the comments here. I'd like to know where you went and if you saw it the same way I did. Because I say that too because I know some of you always mention you've never been here before, you've never been there before, whatever. And it sounds like you want to take that chance and go on it, but then I don't know, maybe you're just using my videos to see so you don't have to go. Of course, watching these kind of road trips, at least with the way I record it, you get an idea totally of how the place is, but really and truly, you can't feel an area as much as if you go in person. So this area is Mission, and we are going to be passing Mission Bay at some point. That's where I also recorded a video for it. The beach area. Another place that you can look, but you really can't sea bathe. Lots of rocks and stuff. But you'll get an idea when you watch the video. That's the poster for it, and again there's a link for it in the description. So you can have a look and see what that bay is like. And as you can tell, we have left a lot of the green, and you start to see a lot of houses on your left and right, like poles and whatnot. There's a more built up part of Toco. Start to see a lot more cars too. And you can see people lying on the beach down below. But you'll notice nobody's in the water. Like I said, I don't know that sea bathing is advisable. There's lots of rocks in the ocean here. I don't know if there was a major project where it could, the beaches, at least a strip of the beach could be made more like Maracas. I don't know how feasible that is, but It should be something. Now, if you haven't gathered yet, the sun is starting to go down, and that's another reason why I didn't want to stop too much on the way back. Because I was also trying to get to Galera Point to show you the beach and the lighthouse area there. So when you start to see a lot of this built up area, again, really close to where we're gonna turn off for Galera Point and Galera Road. One of the things that you should take note of is that to get on Galera Road, you would have to come off of the Paria main road, and I think at that point really it's the Toco main road. And you really have a choice. You could either go to Galera Road or keep on going, and it'll take you back to San Grande. At some point, I will show you that just now. So those of you abroad, sometimes you will tell me, "Oh, I'm coming in this month or that month," and tell me what's your plans, where you plan to go. I mean, if you've been from out of the country for a long time, I know you won't be able to explore it like I am doing it with the limited time you have. So it's most likely that you're going to pick and choose where you're going. Probably, of course, you want to see your family or friends first, and maybe familiar areas that you are. But where else are you going? So you see, we just turned left there. That's Galera Road. If we had continued straight, that would take us back to Matsura, and we could go on to San Grande or whatever. We could take the extension and go Valencia. It all depends, but that would take us south. Now here we are going to what is probably one of the more popular beaches in the Togo region, and in this one, although I have to say I have not been in the water, in this one it looks like you can go and sea bathe. And the reason I say looks like is because usually on these road trips I don't come to bathe, because if I went in the ocean I wouldn't be able to really record. And most of the objectives for me, besides taking my family out, is to record. So you will see, well, what can I say? You will see some of the beach at a distance, but all you're gonna see mostly is or are lots of people, because this beach is one of the stranger beaches for me. Every time I come here, there are just loads of people all around it. And as you can see, the roads are really narrow. Lots of maxis transporting people to and fro here, even buses. And most of them are not in the ocean. Most of them are just like in the area, um, liming, talking with their friends and whatnot. But anyhow, you're gonna see it just now. And on a clear day here, from here you could see Tobago. And I guess that's why they want to build a port, per se in this area, but somewhere here in Toco, because that would really cut down on the amount of travel time to go from, most people now have, if you want to go by boat, take a boat from Port of Spain to Tobago is like hours of on the ocean, and the ocean is really bad. because they have to go on the west of Trinidad, which has a dragon's mouth. That's really dangerous water. This road will also take you all the way to the lighthouse, and I created a video for that too with some interesting observations. If you see me go silent for a while, it's because I do have to take a break. Just allowing you to see the green. Plus, you don't really want to hear my monotonous voice constantly, do you? So as you can tell, that you're starting to see a lot of vehicles, and those vehicles on the left are all going into that beach area. Salybia Beach, I believe they call it. I don't recall ever coming here and there wasn't a lot of people. See what I mean? Just a lot of people. And a lot of them are linemen. There are a lot of cars, you can't tell hardly where the ocean is. One of the problems with places like this too, it's sort of a mixture between a beach area and I guess fishing folk and the like, because the kind of buildings, it's more like shacks and stuff. Of course it's free entrance, so there isn't that people parking right up to the beach, and that's why it's making it hard to see the ocean. I mean, you could catch little glimpses of it there. But I really wanted to come out and record, but I just could not because there was just so many people. And when people are bathing and stuff, you don't want them. You wouldn't want anybody recording you. So that's why I don't do that. So this is me getting out of the vehicle and checking, and that's why the video speeded up, because I got out to check to say, okay, let me at least see if I could capture some of the beach. Turns out I couldn't. There's just people, you can't tell, right? There's just a lot of people down there in the water. The waters look relatively calm to me, but I don't know how good it is, because like I said, every time I come out here, it's mostly to drive around, not to use the beach. I did swim here when I was a kid, and I remember my parents would drive and drive and drive, and I was thinking, wow, so long just to go to the beach. This would be a convenient place to come for people from San Grande and the surrounding areas though. You see those buses, like the one on the left there? All those buses used to be PTSC buses, which is public transportation, and that's the kind of buses you would have when I was a kid. Now they have more modern air-conditioned buses, and from what I understand, soon it will be electric buses. Wonder what that will be like. So I'm just waiting for this car to pass. Rail buses. And the police is on patrol, checking. I thought about pulling in there too, but that section there looked just similar to what we already saw. Just lots of cars, people, shacks. You couldn't see the beach, so I said, you know what? Let's just continue to Galera Point to see the lighthouse. There's a lighthouse at the end of this road. The way here looks, you wouldn't think it's a road that carries you to anywhere significant, but don't be afraid, it takes you to the lighthouse where you can have a view. It's really nice to see, so long as you can get access to it. You will get an idea of what I mean when I get there, and I also created a separate video just for that. This road also is incredibly narrow, so even the light poles are falling. So if you ever come on this road, be very careful while you're driving. It's a relatively straight road though, so it's not like it's bending around any corner sharply where you have to worry about people coming. So you should be able to see people coming from a distance. Just not like everything else, don't speed, drive slow and take your time. So when you come on this road, you're basically going to the very top of the northeast of Trinidad, and you can already see the lighthouse in the distance. That little white building, blue, starting to take reality now. That's a radar tower on the right. And you can see a lot of people are parked here on the left, and yet there's a big sign on the ground saying it's closed. And I was disappointed when I saw that, because you know, you come all the way here and yet you cannot access it. And I created a video about this. So many places that, you know, people want to go and see and it's always closed, or some gate or something. And look at me, I'm looking like, what the heck? Did I just see people going to the area even though it's closed? Yep, that's what I did. There were people going all in there, but I talk more about it in the video. After taking some footage, I got back in the truck and I decided to turn around and head back. You can see that the sun is going down, and I really need to get back to town before. And we say town to mean Port of Spain, the main city. And I wanted to get back before the, you know, it was night time. And that happened anyway, but at least it wasn't too late. So that's what it's like to go from Matelot all the way to Galera Point. kind of catering for one end of the island from road to road. To get a true appreciation of this road trip, make sure to look at the individual videos that I created along the trip. It gives you a greater appreciation because while looking at the road and things go by is nice, you want to get an idea of what's on the right and left, and that's done when I create those offshoot videos from this main one. And Trinidad is a very dusty country, so sometimes you may see me, spraying wiper fluid on my windscreen to get it clean. I did notice there's a little speck on my windscreen. You could kind of see it on the videos, and I've tried taking that out, but I realized it was an actual dent from something that really gets me kind of pissed is vehicle owners, especially truck owners, who do not wear mud flaps. That's the guard in the back of the vehicle that prevents stones and any kind of thing that the wheels pick up from going into your windscreen. But sometimes they don't keep it, and so sometimes you get cracks in your windscreen. I can't tell you the number of times I've seen stones or objects hitting my windscreen coming from other vehicles. Being on a long road trip like this too, if you don't stop and come out, your butt will get flat. So make sure to take lots of breaks if you're coming on a long road trip. Make sure to walk with your water, food, and stuff. Don't be trusting of always trying to have to buy it. Make sure you have what you need, especially medicine, things for people who may be sickly and whatnot. So this road trip comes to an end more or less when I hit that road that turns into here. So basically back to the Toco main road, and from there I will go to Sani Grande. Now, for the heck of it, I am also going to come out with a video after this one, which will be Toco to Sani Grande. Now, some of you might like to see Sani Grande at nighttime, because by the time I reach there, it's pretty much nighttime, and you'll be able to have a look at what Sani Grande looks like. I will be taking some of the back roads. In the start of this road trip from Valencia, I took what was supposed to be the new highway system that the government is building to get to Toco. If you haven't seen that, you can look for it in the description of my video. So going back, I'm going to take another route. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do like, share, and comment. Most of all, I thank you for your support, especially those who are die-hard fans of JB's Man Cave. You always come and comment and tell me about your love for the videos. I really appreciate that. I'm still trying to get to 10,000 subscribers, which is just an immediate goal, and we are far way off. So please do invite your friends. As we make the community bigger, there will be more of us to talk and share our experiences, because that's really what I want in the end. I mean, I don't want just me telling you guys about things. I love especially when some of you will come and say, in this area I used to do this, or I used to do that, or this used to be this, or this used to be that. I mean, that's great information for me too, because it's also a learning experience for me. So please do share with your friends, family. Tell them to join and subscribe, JB's Man Cave. And when you tell them to subscribe, make sure you tell them it's free. It's just a matter of clicking a subscribe button, because some people who are not familiar with how social media works may think you're telling them to go and pay for something, and when they hear the word subscription they think pay, and it's not like that. It's totally free. They just need a Gmail account. So we'll pass these road bikers who are on a mission, it seems, to get to the beach, and I'm gonna tune out here and leave you a bit. You can hear a bit of Caribbean music until the video plays out. Thanks so much for watching.